Imagine prosecuting some of the most notorious figures of our time, only to find yourself abruptly fired and fighting your own government in court.
Yeah, that is a wild scenario.
Welcome to this deep dive. Our mission today is to unpack a massive stack of recent sources from the AP, the New York Times, and PBS.
Right, we're looking at the sudden dismissal of top federal prosecutor Maurene Comey.
And her ongoing lawsuit against the government, plus what this legal battle really tells us about the independence of the Justice Department.
But before we get into all that, we need to pause for a quick mandatory disclaimer for you, our listener.
Right, because these sources contain highly politically charged content involving the Trump administration and the Justice Department. We will never take sides.
Exactly. We're absolutely not endorsing any viewpoints here today.
We must make it clear that we are simply reporting the ideas and the facts impartially, exactly as they appear in the original source material.
So with that out of the way, let's get into the facts.
Let's do it. Here is your 90-second news hook to get us started. In February 2026, 37-year-old Maurene Comey landed a partner job at a top New York law firm.
But just a month ago.
In July 2025, the Trump administration fired her from her job as a star federal prosecutor. And they did it without giving a single reason.
Yeah, and she had spent nearly a decade handling 11 jury trials.
She secured major, massive convictions. She helped put Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for 20 years.
She prosecuted Senator Bob Menendez. He is serving 11 years right now.
And she got a conviction against Sean Diddy Combs, who is serving 50 months.
But now she is suing the U.S. government.
Right. The Justice Department is fighting back, seeking to dismiss her case entirely. Okay, let's unpack this. How does a prosecutor with this kind of track record end up at the center of a political firestorm?
Well, you have to look at her background. She worked in the elite Southern District of New York.
The SDNY.
Exactly. It operates with this legendary level of independence. She wasn't just working standard cases. She served as co-chief of a unit investigating violent and organized crime.
So she handled massive public corruption and sex trafficking cases. I mean, Epstein, Maxwell, Combs, Menendez.
Yeah, those are complex, high-stakes cases.
Yeah.
You're navigating intense media scrutiny and huge legal teams.
Which makes the events of July 2025 so sudden. Her firing was completely abrupt and no official reason was given.
Right. When reporters asked White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about the firing, she simply stated it was a decision made by the Department of Justice.
No performance issues cited, no policy violations.
Just a sudden exit, which led to her parting message.
Right. She sent this highly critical letter to her colleagues the very next day.
She warned that terminating a career prosecutor without cause was a blatant abuse of power. To quote the source documents, she wrote, "Fear is the tool of a tyrant, wielded to suppress independent thought."
Wow.
Yeah. She urged her peers to feel righteous indignation at abuses of power.
Think about why this matters to you, the listener. Imagine being a career professional trying to do your job impartially.
Right, making decisions about who goes to prison and who goes straight.
And suddenly you are worrying that your employment depends entirely on the political wins.
If you suspect that making a legally sound but politically unpopular decision might get you fired.
The temptation to play it safe becomes a massive weight. That's the chilling effect she was warning about.
But we have to point out the elephant in the room here.
Her last name, Comey.
Exactly.
Yep.
She is the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey.
And President Trump fired James Comey back in 2017. He blamed him for a witch hunt during his first term.
So Maurene Comey was long viewed by observers as a potential target just because of that history.
But the sources point out this retaliation claim is part of a broader trend. The Trump administration has been firing federal prosecutors in Manhattan, Washington, and elsewhere without explanation.
Right, including lawyers who worked on Capitol riot cases or attorneys who worked on special counsel Jack Smith's cases.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
The investigations.
Yeah. Trump ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to investigate perceived political enemies.
Specifically naming Letitia James and James Comey.
And then there is the incredibly complex Epstein angle. Right-wing internet personalities like Laura Loomer were publicly demanding Maurene Comey's firing.
Why? Because AG Bondi was facing intense criticism from Trump's base for not releasing more evidence from the Epstein files.
Meanwhile, Trump demanded investigations into ties between Epstein and prominent Democrats.
And Bondi assigned that specific investigation to Comey's former office at the SDNY.
It's an incredible collision of forces. So Comey didn't just walk away. In September 2025, she sued the DOJ, the Executive Office of the President, AG Bondi, and others.
Her core argument in the lawsuit lays it all out. She claims the only plausible explanation for her firing was her perceived political affiliation and beliefs.
And her family ties.
Right. She argues there was no legitimate administrative reason to end her career.
The Justice Department is defending this, though. But they want the case dismissed on procedural grounds.
They aren't arguing about the politics. They argue she bypassed the proper administrative channels.
Specifically, the Merit Systems Protection Board.
Right. The MSPB, which handles federal personnel disputes, they say that's the mandatory first stop.
This raises an important question, though.
It really does. Comey's legal team counters that the board completely lacks the expertise for this novel dispute.
They claim the firing raises foundational constitutional questions with respect to the separation of powers.
They even argued it is no longer true that the board functions independently of the president.
So they are telling the judge they can't get a fair hearing from a board that answers to the people who fired her.
It forces the courts to decide if an administration can just bypass civil service protections.
Bringing us to the present day, February 2026, Comey has moved on to the private sector.
She joined the 200-lawyer firm Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler to work on white-collar defense and civil litigation.
That's a huge shift. You go from putting people in jail to protecting individuals from the government.
She had some striking perspectives on this in a recent interview. She called the past year a series of norm-shattering events.
And she mentioned a complete destruction of the space between politics and the Department of Justice.
Right. She said that environment makes a robust defense bar vital to stand up to government overreach.
But the interviewer pushed her on the Epstein files. Millions of pages were recently released.
And she refused to take the bait.
She explicitly declined to comment on the files themselves.
She did, however, defend her team's legacy. She stated they always prioritized respecting the dignity, privacy, and rights of the victims.
Separating the underlying work from the political circus.
Exactly.
So, to recap everything, we've looked at the career of a high-profile prosecutor, a sudden firing shrouded in political controversy, and a massive lawsuit.
A lawsuit that tests the boundaries of civil service protections against executive power.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, these legal battles aren't just about one person's job.
No, they define how the justice system operates when the lines between politics and prosecution start to blur. It asks the listener, how much independence do you think career prosecutors should really have?
I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to mull over today. If the government successfully argues that civil service protections don't apply here because of separation of powers,
what stops any future administration of any party from completely replacing career prosecutors with political loyalists every 4 years?
Exactly. And if that happens, how does it change the very nature of justice in America? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.